David Croyle right now on Radio for Your Neighborhood, AM 1380 and FM 103.7, WTYM, Katanning, Ford City.
There's no business like show business.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
All systems go.
Good morning.
Prepare to be astonished.
Listen in your office, in your car, or even your neighborhood bar. You can listen with your whole family.
Is this the morning show you were dreaming about? Go back to sleep.
I enjoy that type of radio.
It is a group of people brought together because they share a common belief in what government should be like.
We don't need your education. We don't need your thought control.
That's a talent.
He's wacky, he's zany, wacky and zany. It's another wacky and zany show.
Good morning, Armstrong County, 8 past the hour right now. Glad to have you with us. If you look outside, a little on the dreary side today, 62 degrees, but going up to a high of 78. So it's going to stay on the warm side, but it looks like we may have later on toward evening, may have a few thunder bumpers in the middle of the night. We'll see what happens whenever that goes on. Today I have a guest with me, and for my friend today, he is a stand-up comic from Chicago's South Side. He's lived on the borderline of comedy and tragedy. At the very time his career as a stand-up comedian was taking off, he had finally achieved his dream of appearing on The Tonight Show, but he was also enduring an unimaginable personal nightmare. His 2-year-old daughter, Brittany Nicole, was dying of cancer. So here he performed under the bright lights, but he struggled to not succumb to the darkness of losing a child. I can tell you, I can't even imagine this. But I want you to make welcome. He's in California this morning, Mr. Anthony Griffith. Good morning, Anthony.
Hey, thank you. Good morning. A little early for me, but thanks.
Yeah, just a tad now. I mean, you know, you're not quite used to this this particular time. So it's got to be just a little past 6 your time. So welcome. I hope you've had coffee this morning.
I have not, but I'm looking for some. Yeah.
All right. Well, Anthony, we want to talk a little bit about this because you have now created this book, and it talks about behind the laughter. And now I went on YouTube and I researched you a little bit, and I heard some of the bits that they have on YouTube from. It looks like you kind of in your younger days. Are you still doing stand-up comic?
Oh yeah, even more so. I just we did the celebration launch book party last night, and it was sold out, and we sold a lot of books. So yeah, I'm still doing what I did for 30 years is stand up. Yeah, making people laugh. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well let's talk. Let's go back and talk about the early days of Anthony. Okay, so you grew up in Chicago's South Side. I'm sure you had a mama and you had a grandma that had a lot of input to your life, right?
Yes, Big Mama. She was the Medea before Medea was invented and Tyler Perry became famous. She had her 38 in her house coat. She had 2 guard dogs in the back. She chewed snuff, and I thought all grandmothers had 38. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, Armstrong County with the National Rifle Association is the 4th largest gun ownership in the country. So you're talking to you're talking right down. I mean, I have a 38. You're talking right now down everybody's language here in Armstrong County. There's no doubt about it. So, but you know, in Chicago South Side 30 years ago, you know, I could see that. I definitely could see that.
Yeah, it was, you know, there was a lot of, especially New Year's Eve was a day that everybody celebrated by shooting guns off the celebration. And at one point, I counted like 20 bullet holes through my grandmother's window and 10 from my grandmother shooting back.
Oh my, oh my, and that was normal for you, right?
Yes, that was normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, see, somebody said to me one time, "What's normal?" And I said, "It depends what family you come from." You know,
Yes.
seriously.
Yeah.
Because for you that you grew up that way. Well, at what point did you find out you were funny?
I think I never thought I was funny. Just people would just look at me. I was different. I wanted to be, 30 years ago, I wanted to be a hockey player. I never could master skating backwards, so that career was over very quickly. And then I wanted to be the next Houdini. My mom got me a straitjacket, and that was good.
I'm not going to even ask you where she got the straitjacket from.
She didn't know, so she called up an insane asylum, like any mother would, and said, "Hey, my son wants a straitjacket. How much does the straitjacket cost?" And they just said it has to be true, because only a mom would inquire with something like that. Yeah. And then my straitjacket was stolen because I'm from the inner city. And yeah. But so I think things like that made me a comic, or people would just laugh at me because of my misfortune. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, we're talking today with national comedian Anthony Griffith. He's my friend today, and we're going to continue talking about this because he went from, being funny and being on the Tonight Show, and all of a sudden something happened with his daughter, who 2 years old, had cancer. We're going to talk about that in just a minute, so don't go away. We need to check regional sports, and then we'll be right back. Stay with me.
A late-game comeback on Tuesday turned into a Pirate offensive outburst on Wednesday. Good morning, this is Sports from Radio PA. Pittsburgh took down Texas 7-5 to sweep the two-game interleague series. Rookie Brian Reynolds hit a 3-run double to key the Bucks' 4-run fourth inning. That gave enough run support to Jamison Tyone, who pitched into the seventh inning and struck out 5 batters. Here's Clint Hurdle on his pitcher.
I thought it was a solid outing. The left-handed attack challenged him a little bit. However, he got in a nice rhythm and routine, big shutdown inning after the 4-run fourth. I thought he pitched a professional game. First pitch strikes. He was efficient to get to where he did with it. Yeah, I think he had 12 guys retired on 3 pitches. We were able to really take advantage of some nice situations today, and we had some clutch hitting.
Pirates now 14-14, and today's a travel day back to the Steel City. Elsewhere, the Phillies scored 7 runs on 15 hits en route to a 7-3 victory over the Tigers and a split of the 2-game set. Rhys Hoskins hit his 9th home run of the year. Andrew McCutchen and Cesar Hernandez both had 3 hits, and Maikel Franco drove in a trio of runs. Tonight, the 76ers meet the Raptors in Philadelphia for Game 3 of the conference semifinals. With the series tied at 1, Joel Embiid assesses where Philly is at.
We all felt like we had a chance, that after a few adjustments, we could get on top, but that's all that matters. The win is great, so now we got to go home and take our business.
In soccer, the Union won again, a 2-0 shutout of FC Cincinnati. That brings Philadelphia's record to 5-2-3 into a first-place tie in the Eastern Conference. Kacper Shabilko and Fafa Picault scored 7 minutes apart in the second half to secure a 4th straight home win. In college hoops, according to the Los Angeles Times, UCLA tried to pry Jay Wright away from his long-standing job at Villanova. The Bruins reportedly offered to double Wright's salary, but the 2-time national champ turned down UCLA. And that's sports. I'm Andrew Scaglione.
Let's check the weather with David Croyle right now on Radio for Your Neighborhood, AM 1380 and FM 103.7, WTYM, Katanning, Ford City.
Currently in downtown Katanning, 62 degrees, going up to a high of 78 today. Mostly scattered showers, mainly before noon, and then mostly cloudy with a high again near 78. But then tonight we have isolated showers and thunderstorms with a low somewhere around 60. Tomorrow, showers are likely with thunderstorms possible afternoon and cloudy with a high near 73. Again, in downtown Katanning, it's 62 degrees, and in Armstrong County, it's a little bit on the dreary side today. That's your weather, 1380 AM, FM 103.7 WTYM. Today, my guest for David and Friends happens to be the national comedian Anthony Griffith. And here's a guy growing up on Chicago's South Side, told us a little bit about that, but then was on The Tonight Show. But he was going through a personal nightmare at that time, and he's written about it in a book called Behind the Laughter. So, Anthony, I want to get into a little bit about this, because here you finally made it to The Tonight Show, and that had to be the most exhilarating time. You were working toward it. And I watched you on the video, and it's like you didn't even bother you. It seemed like you was just performing at the Improv or something. It just was, you were just fine. But back behind the scenes, behind the curtain, you were falling apart. Tell me about that.
I had two important calls. I had one, my agent called me and said, Johnny Carson wants you on the Tonight Show. And the second call was that my daughter, who had had cancer that was once in remission, resurfaced. So and then that became my dual work that day, because in the daytime I would administer to my daughter's needs, learning CPR and helping her with her chemo, and then at night I would practice getting ready for the Tonight Show. So it was definitely surreal. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. I can't even imagine that. Now, she was only 2, correct?
Yes, she was 2 at the time. Yeah, and like I said, she was first diagnosed when we were in Chicago, and then she got through that, and it went into remission, and that's when we moved to California, but then it came back. Yeah.
My goodness. So how old was she when she passed away?
She passed away when she was 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So what does a father do when you're in this situation? Because here you are, you're trying to do your thing. I mean, I don't even know how to ask the question. How did you deal with both of them?
Well, I think one thing is you definitely compartmentalize so that there's like two different lives that you're going through. So that when I did stand up, when I was on the Tonight Show, when I was perfecting my show, I didn't think about what was going on, but it was interesting because as soon as I finished taping the show, I would rush to the hospital, Children's Hospital, where my daughter was at the time, and my wife and I and our daughter, we would watch the Tonight Show in her room. Yeah, so it was interesting, and it became a pattern because I was able to do it several times. I think two or three times going on the Tonight Show, and it was the same pattern. I would administer to my daughter in the daytime. I would practice my comedy at night, and with the taping, I would tape the show and then rush to see the show with my family at the Children's Hospital. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Okay, the $50,000 question here. How did you get through it?
you know, it wasn't me. I think it was definitely a higher power. I think it was definitely God. God was helping me, and because I had never been around someone who was sick to that point. I had never been, um, you know, it's your child, and you want to help her any way you can, but the powers that be were beyond my control, and so I think a lot of prayer. I'm my wonderful wife. So we just really just it was we got through it, but through family and stuff like that. But it was nothing that I did. Yeah.
So at that point in time, did you have a faith? Were you Christian? Were you going to church, or was this something that just sort of developed because of the situation?
Well, I definitely went grew up going to church. My mom was a deaf, definitely diehard uh, Baptist. So church started at 9 o'clock in church, but church started at the house at 6 in the morning, and
Wow.
she would start her playing gospel music and stuff
Uh-huh.
like that. So she was a great foundation for me.
I
Um,
just got to ask you, did she take her 38 with
right,
to the church?
she left it at the door, right? Like the old West days that hey, you gotta leave your door, your guns with the sheriff before you go into town.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it not if it wasn't for my mom introducing me to Christianity, uh, I don't think it would have helped. I don't think I would have got through it. But she laid the foundation, and then just what came, what I had to go through, just made me stronger. But it took time. I won't lie that you know it's a process, and your faith gets tested, as the Bible says. It makes you grow stronger when you come out on the other end. Yeah, but it took time. I won't lie. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. What about today? Why did you write the book? What's going on in your life now that you felt like this is the time to be talking about this?
Well, me going through that, me going through, uh, I now have multiple sclerosis. So I think with this book, what it shows that how you can overcome the storms in your life, so that you can excel in your new normal. Because you know, when you go through a storm, be it a loss of life, a loss of a loved one, your health, um, your job situation. I think those are all storms, and if you get through those storms, you're not the same as you're going in. You're stronger. Um, your faith is stronger. You're bolder, um, and stuff like that. And you get through the storm, and you find out that, hey, I've overcome that, and now I can excel in my new normal. So yes, I have MS, um, but I think I'm funnier uh, now than when I was a young guy, and yeah, and I give that all to uh, God and my community. I think community is very um, needed to get to weather the storm. Yeah.
I agree, and yeah, I'm sure you have a community there in California that you're leaning on and depending on.
Yes, I definitely. I have. I'm part of church here, but I also have. So I have a spiritual family here, but also I'm a part of the MS society that is a group of people that have MS, and we lean on each other. Yeah, and being I've been in stand and comedy for a long time, that I have that community too. So I'm surrounded by people that I can lean on and get inspiration. So and this way I like to give back by writing the book so that others who are going through something can be helped as well.
All right, Anthony Griffith, he's an amazing man, and I'm glad to have him on. You may know him from Charlie's Angels Full Throttle. You may know him from Tales of the Hood. He's received a Daytime Emmy for his performance in the TV movie Our Father. He's been all around, and today he's been on David and Friends. Anthony, I just want to thank you for being my friend.
Thanks very much, David. I'll say you're my friend, too. You get up a little earlier than I do, but it's okay.
Yeah, just a tad, but
Yes.
you just remember me whenever you're sleeping.
Yes.
I call it that. All right. Thank you, buddy. You have a great day. I appreciate you being with me so very, very much. All right. Yeah, Anthony Griffith. What a guy, huh? Yeah, what a guy. Enjoyed him so very, very much. Stay with me. David and Friends on the air with you. 1380 AM FM 103.7 WTYM.
If you gotta get up,
I gotta get up, I gotta get up.
do it with us.
And go, go, go!
David and Friends, weekdays on WTYM, Katanning.